It began as any other day on the Storage Wars lot. Fast bidding, louder fights, and a lot of rubbish. However, Brandi thought that this auction was different. Something about one particular unit drew her eye. Everyone else thought it was worthless. To her, it looked promising. When the contents were ultimately revealed, the entire group recognized they had witnessing history being made. Inside the filthy storage container was a collection so rare and precious that the show's experts scrambled to confirm the figures. The final figure was a whopping $1.2 million. But first, let's go back to the beginning. Brandi was born in 1980 in Harris County, Texas, and grew up surrounded by brothers who, as she has openly admitted, enjoy beating the snot out of her. It may sound harsh, but Brandi credits her turbulent childhood with developing her grit. In an interview with Lifetime, she joked about how all that roughhousing was the ideal preparation for the male-dominated industry she'd ultimately conquer on Storage Wars. To support her argument, she previously posted a childhood photo of herself with a black eye on X when it was still known as Twitter. She saw it as more than just a story. It demonstrated that being tough was not optional. The goal was to survive. She mentioned it in her line of business. If the boys see a weakness, they will take advantage of it. Brandi learned to stand her ground early on. Her life before reality TV, however, was very different. During an episode of the Spirit Talk podcast, she discussed her difficult childhood, stating that she frequently felt like an outsider, even inside her own family. She admitted that she used to wonder if she had been adopted since she didn't feel like she belonged. Brandi, unlike many others, was unable to accept her situation. Even as a child, she felt there was something more waiting for her. Long before Storage Wars made her famous, Brandi had quite different goals. Growing up in Houston, she aspired to be a chef. Despite her smart, confident presence on film, she has confessed that she is naturally bashful. In an interview with My Lifetime, she chuckled about how shy she used to be when she was younger. Her protection strategy was to give people filthy stares rather than conversing with them. That combination of hardness and sensitivity persisted into her early life. Brandi revealed in a Facebook video that she played softball for 9 years, demonstrating her competitive streak, which would later come in good on storage lots. Her upbringing, which was chaotic, boy-oriented, and rough around the edges, provided her with the grit she needed to flourish in a profession driven by strong personalities. Before she became famous, Brandi was simply another young lady trying to make ends meet. She met her future partner, Jared Schultz, while working for a carpet cleaning firm in 1999. He happened to be her supervisor, and Brandi described him as insistent, even relentless. She informed the Philippine Daily Inquirer that Jared wore her out. Jared, of course, tells a totally different story. In a Facebook Live session, he joked that Brandi was the one doing the chasing, alleging she basically hounded him after she got hired. He said that dating an employee wasn't the best idea, and that a friend had to put notes on his truck urging him to treat her kindly because he might be a little rough around the edges. Jared frequently joked about the mismatch, claiming that he wasn't winning her over with his appearance, so he relied on humor and persistence. However, Bri's perspective dramatically changes the story. She stated Jared was continuously hitting on her, which was more awkward than romantic at first. Still, perseverance paid off. According to all accounts, they began with a personality clash. His obstinate appeal met her calm tenacity. But, regardless of which version of the story you believe, one thing is apparent. It functioned. Brandi and Jared began dating. From then, their voyage took off faster than any of them could have imagined. Brandi and Jared may never have married, but they have raised 2 children together, Cameron and Peyton. For the most part, they have kept their children out of the limelight. Though Brandi has shared some aspects of their family's story, particularly the health issues they have faced over the years. During her interview on the Dad Diary podcast, Brandi discussed PTON's rough beginning in life. PTON was born both deaf and with a cleft palate. She had her first surgery when she was only 6 weeks old, and it happily returned her hearing. Peyton's experience left her with a moderate speech impediment, necessitating years of speech treatment. Brandi noted that joining her school's cheerleading squad later on improved not only her speech but also her confidence. Cameron had his own health scare. During a normal urological visit, physicians noticed a tumor on his kidney. It took months of monitoring before his symptoms deteriorated, necessitating an extended hospital stay. Brandi recalls spending 3 months with him at the Children's Hospital of Orange County. He missed 3 months of high school but shown his strength throughout that time. Brandi adored being a mother, but she quickly recognized that staying at home full-time was not for her. In an interview with My Lifetime, she revealed that, while she loved her children, the experience had left her feeling alienated and miserable. She believed that working helped her become a better parent. While Brandi focused on raising their children, Jared went into the mortgage business. However, when the recession of the late 20th century struck, everything changed. He found himself abruptly out of work and without unemployment insurance. He later told the Orange County Register, finding a new job wasn't easy. Then came an unexpected lifeline, Jared's aunt, who maintained a storage facility. She told him about the auctions for unpaid units, which sparked an idea. Jared and Brandi soon began visiting auctions, bidding on lockers and reselling whatever expensive goods they discovered. Their house quickly became brimming with finds. Brandi even quipped that they were one step away from being on hoarders. They decided to transform the pandemonium into something constructive by opening their own second-hand shop on occasion. When the shop first opened, Brandi worked part-time, dividing her time between the store, her children's classrooms, and her personal life. Business picked up, and the pair continued to attend auctions, a decision that would change everything. One day, while at an auction, Jared struck up a conversation with a TV producer who was working on a new program concept involving storage auctions. Months later, the same producer called and arrived at their shop with a camera team. Brandi happened to be there that day and quickly piqued their interest. According to Jared, the producer inquired about her identity and whether she would feel comfortable going on camera. That clip was used in the pilot for Storage Wars, a new show. At the moment, neither of them had any clue how large it would grow. Brandi later told the Saline Courier that they didn't think much of it, deciding to shoot a few minutes for fun. However, that simple decision paved the way to reality television fame. Their natural chemistry and continuous back and forth made them ideal for television. On the show, they were dubbed Young Guns, a duo noted for their blazing energy and friendly competition. Brandi rapidly became the voice of reason, countering Jared's penchant of overspending and pursuing dangerous transactions. Fans adored their dynamic, rapid comebacks, fun debates, and the way their personalities clashed but still worked together. They quickly became fan favorites, especially after one memorable early victory. In Season 1, they took a major risk by outbidding another buyer and paying $1,700 for a locker. When they opened it up, they discovered gold. A wealth of old toys and collectible action figures valued approximately $12,800. It was the kind of score that every bidder dreams of. But, despite all the excitement, cracks began to appear in the Storage Wars empire. Dave Hester, a cast member, began to question how real the show was. By 2012, his worries had escalated into a full-blown lawsuit against AE&E and the producing business Original Productions. Hester said the producers were manipulating the results, claiming they would salt lockers by inserting precious objects to make the findings appear more spectacular. He even cited specific incidents, such as allegedly discovering ancient newspapers reporting Elvis Presley's death or a BMW small car hidden among trash. He believed that the discoveries were too good to be true. In his case, Hester claimed that the show was not only altered, but wholly manufactured. He accused the producers of scripting cast interviews, organizing auctions, and even paying for lockers when celebrities couldn't afford them. And if that wasn't enough, he said producers went so far as to pay for a female cast member's plastic surgery to improve her on-screen appearance. Tabloids swiftly linked the charge to Brandi Pianti, citing her weight reduction and outfit changes over the seasons. However, Brandi dismissed those rumors. When a fan asked if her breasts were fake, she simply said, "No, Jacka," and left it at that. She has also denied weird internet allegations about her being an exotic dancer or having 2 fingers, laughing off the wild side of reality TV fame. Brandi has remained emphatic about the show's realism. Storage Wars is a genuine thing. She clarified that because storage auctions are public, meddling with them would be criminal. She stated that the editing is the only thing that has been faked. The show concentrates on the intriguing lockers rather than the dull ones. As she expressed it, not every unit is a winner, but that's the way the business works. However, Hester's claims cast a long shadow. Andy wasn't delighted to be accused of fabricating its biggest success. Storage Wars was the second most watched show at the time, after only Duck Dynasty. In response, the network dismissed Hester and initially refused to publicly comment on the lawsuit. When they did, they defended the program, claiming there was no staging and that all objects were genuine. However, in a twist, AE's legal defense portrayed a somewhat different story. Instead of flatly denying everything, they invoked the First Amendment, claiming that producers had the creative license to design the show as they saw fit. Their lawyers even argued that only game shows are legally obligated to be completely authentic. They said Storage Wars was not one of them. The show's creator, Tom Beers, later revealed that they script roughly half of what viewers hear and occasionally blend the greatest items from different lockers to keep things interesting. After all, no one wants to watch hours of individuals sifting through mountains of trash. The idea was to produce good television, not a documentary. The case eventually settled on an unpleasant middle ground. A judge dismissed some of Hester's claims but allowed his wrongful termination action to proceed. He sought $750,000 in damages, claiming he was sacked for speaking up. Andy fought back, claiming that the show's creative decisions were protected by free speech legislation. Both sides eventually reached an agreement, and amazingly, there appeared to be no ill blood. The agreement even cleared the way for Dave Hester to return to the show. However, viewers were unaware that the courtroom drama would be nothing compared to what was to come. Bry's life took a turn in the fall of 2012. Overnight, obscene photographs and a video of a lady who resembled her appeared on an adult website. The problem? It wasn't her, but the website's administrator didn't care. They said the woman in the video was the star of Storage Wars. The turmoil was traced back to a name that everyone on the internet was familiar with. Hunter Moore's. Moore's website, Anyone Up, appeared in the early 2010s. Was notorious for posting obscene content without permission, causing a digital nightmare for anyone caught in its path. He'd even been kicked off Facebook for linking stolen profile images to sexual content. When that door closed, he simply took his operation to Tumblr and Twitter, where he released the phony video, claiming it was of Brandi Pianti. Brandi initially learned about it through messages that flooded her Twitter feed. She made it apparent from the start that the video was a hoax, but it didn't halt the harm. Later, she characterized the incident as horrifying, stating her greatest concern was that her family would see the film online. Determined to clear her name, Brandi sued Moore for defamation, invasion of privacy, and consumer fraud. The court pleadings described her amazement and shame, emphasizing that she had never recorded such a film or had any communication with Moore. The phony content was prepared primarily to capitalize on her popularity and increase attention to his website. She claimed $2.5 million in damages. While she officially won the lawsuit, the court only granted her $750, leaving her with a hollow sense of accomplishment. To make matters worse, Moore insulted her on social media following the verdict, demonstrating that he had learnt nothing from it. The invasion of Bry's privacy was not the only time her appearance attracted unwanted attention. Fans have long complained that obscene comments regarding her attractiveness were widespread online, and some even made it into the show. One especially awkward situation occurred when castmate Barry Weiss made a provocative jest about liking to dip cigars in brandy. On the surface, it sounded innocent, but most viewers interpreted it as a vulgar play on her name. The interaction instantly became one of the show's most talked about moments. Fans on communities like Reddit and NeoGAF couldn't stop talking about how furious Brandi appeared, criticizing Weiss's comment for going too far. Even years later, that clip is frequently referenced as a reminder that women in the spotlight often face far more than what audiences see. But, beyond the headlines and lawsuits, the show was about to discover something even darker. One of the most disturbing discoveries in the entire show occurred during Season 5, Episode 5 of the A&D reality show. Brandi opened a locker so frightening that she nearly hesitated to unpack it. The first indication that anything weird was going on surfaced instantly. A ornamented, not a fake, deer skull. It had ritual beads tied around its antlers, which provided an unsettling tone from the start. Even then, Zach Carter couldn't resist laughing, picking up an old petrified ear of corn that had been laying next to the skull and pretending to munch on it. Bry's reaction encapsulated it well. She didn't want any of that in her shop, but that was just the beginning. As they went deeper, the finds became more distressing. There was a sack full of preserved chicken bones, another with what appeared to be human hair, and a bizarre rattle constructed of bird beaks. The most surprising item, however, was a wooden ritual scepter carved with the picture of a man carrying a chicken on his head. Brandi couldn't help but wonder aloud whether it was something a chief would carry at a sacrifice. Everyone hoped this wasn't the case. Despite the disturbing collection, Brandi and Jared opted to buy the locker for $900 and turned a profit. Still, one has to wonder what happened to the strange scepter. Then there was another jaw-dropping moment, one that blended dread and incredulity. Schultz accidentally plowed over Pianti while searching another locker, only to find something out of a nightmare, a case full of human teeth. Schultz attempted to remain calm, assuming they were modern dental implants, but Pianti insisted they were real individual teeth. In the end, both were correct. The team took the terrible discovery to the OCS Dental Academy, where experts confirmed it was indeed a collection of ancient dentures. Individual teeth were formerly affixed to dentures with medical-grade wax. Despite their age and rarity, the collection was only worth about $300, a pittance for such a terrible find. But the surprises didn't end there. In Season 6, Episode 2, Schultz discovered what might be the strangest locker yet, a gigantic rideable My Little Pony plush doll. The toy itself did not raise eyebrows. It was what it stated about the former proprietor. Brandi mentioned that there were documentaries on adult My Little Pony collectors known as bronies. Schultz's incredulity lasted only a short time. As Pianti tried to preserve the big pink pony for herself, Schultz discovered the true treasure, a massive bin filled with My Little Pony toys and memorabilia. Hundreds of them. Clearly, this locker belonged to a dedicated collector. Then came the discovery that would haunt anyone's sleep. In Season 8, Episode 18, Buys and Dolls, Brandi and Jared discovered a doll that appeared to have come straight from a horror film. Peeling skin, dead eyes, and an unsettling vibe. Naturally, Jared couldn't resist taunting Brandi by making the doll talk in a frightening voice until she was utterly terrified. When they brought it to Dr. Tony, the doll doctor, the results were both amusing and disappointing. On a good day, the terrifying doll was only worth around $50. Brandi felt that it would be best used as a chew toy for her dogs. When asked about her favorite find, Bri gave a startling answer. During an appearance on the Happening Now with Hammer Newport Beach podcast, she stated that she prioritized functionality over flash. The best finds, in her opinion, were those that could be swiftly sold for easy money. That was what made the enterprise worthwhile. She also described the less glamorous aspects of the work. On TV, such moments when purchasers discover a safe may appear exciting, but most of the time they open it to find nothing but a piece of paper or, in her case, a binder packed with cutout photographs from adult magazines. Nonetheless, she remains optimistic because the life-changing jackpot may always be found in the following unit. Brandi also revealed one of the show's production challenges, obtaining filming clearance from storage firms. She revealed that prominent corporations such as Public Storage refused to let the crew film on their property. They saw it simply as terrible business. After all, they didn't want to publicize the notion that if you missed your payments, your goods could end up being auctioned off on television. As Brandi pointed out, there's a reason there's no show called Foreclosure. No corporation wants to bring attention to that aspect of their operations. In her opinion, the storage chains are doing okay without the spotlight, and they'd prefer keep that uncomfortable truth hidden. But just when viewers thought they'd seen everything, Bri's true story took an unexpected turn. When the 2021 season of Storage Wars debuted, fans noticed something new. Brandi Pianti and Jared Schultz were no longer a couple. Brandi announced the news herself, revealing that she and Jared had divorced and would now be bidding individually. Jared reiterated that idea, stating that they could still attend the same auctions, but not together. However, not long after the season began, Brandi and Jared's relationship deteriorated. According to TMZ, a few weeks after the April 2021 premiere, Brandi was out with pals at an Orange County pub when Jared came up. They had a furious dispute, and Brandi begged him to leave. He declined. According to witnesses, the scene escalated, and police were summoned. Brandi claimed Jared pushed her twice before leaving the scene. When police caught up with him, he denied engaging in physical assault, but he was nevertheless charged with 1 count of misdemeanor domestic violence battery. Jared disappeared from Storage Wars following that incident. The network never said whether he was dismissed, but his absence said loudly. Brandi, on the other hand, appeared to flourish on her own. She continued bidding independently and achieved some amazing results. One notable moment occurred when she purchased a storage unit for $35 and enlisted the assistance of her friend and co-star Kenny Crossley to sift through it. She offered food as a bribe. That gamble was extremely profitable. They discovered a Victorian sewing equipment valued about $900. The entire locker ended up netting her more than $3,000. And, yeah, Crossley received his much-deserved home-cooked lunch. Brandi Pisanti's life has changed slightly, but her drive has not. She's still the same Texas-born treasure hunter who captivated audiences when Storage Wars initially debuted. The main difference now is that she's doing it alone.